So it's really nice to have you, and you are welcome to Development Nutrition Academy. Development Nutrition Academy vision is to contribute to nutrition workforce development in Africa, and the essence is to address some of the capacity gap that is experienced, especially in terms of technical capacity of the workforce that are delivering nutrition intervention. And we believe that without well-equipped human resources, it would be very difficult to scale up nutrition on the African continent. So today I have with me Dr. Francis Aminu. Dr. Francis Aminu is a development nutrition specialist with 30 years of professional and cognate experience in program management and organizational development in nutrition, in food, market, and health systems. He has a proven experience working effectively with various stakeholders, including government officials, donors, and development agencies. Also, he works in the private sector, uh, where and also civil society actors and clients that have in-depth knowledge of the political, economic, and sociocultural characteristics of Nigeria and some countries in Africa. He is currently working with Aliko Dangote Foundation as the Director of Health and Nutrition, where he is responsible for ensuring that the Aliko Dangote Foundation management in its health and nutrition portfolio commitments to the board, including the $100 million Aliko Dangote Integrated Nutrition Advent Program, $1 million partnership for $1 million partnership for accelerating nutrition results in Nigeria, powering, which is a multi-donor trust fund with World Bank, and $2 million Power of Nutrition (PON) Common Technical Assistance Mechanism through Bank Executable Trust Fund (BETF) to shape and inform the 235 million nutrition IDA, I believe IDA is International Development Assistance, of Aliko Dangote Foundation, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, PON, and GFF, and also $1 million Banking on Nutrition (BON), a tripartite technical partnership with African Development Bank (AFDB) and Big Win Philanthropy (BWP) on helping African Development Bank to develop and implement a multi-sectoral nutrition action plan. His resume is richer than that, but I would like to stop there and so we can see a lot of donor investments. I saw there $100 million, $1 million, and a lot of this huge investment that has been going into nutrition. So we're happy you have joined us this today.
It's a very long one, of course, but I would like to make it brief for the sake of time for other things. My foray into development sector with regards to nutrition program spans about 30 years of professional and cognate experience, as mentioned in my biodata. As well, I started my career development career as a research and program officer with Food Basket Foundation International in Ibadan as far back as 1990, to be precise. The same year, I actually started my master's degree program in human nutrition at the University of Ibadan. And at the same time, I was employed there temporarily as a graduate assistant in the Department of Human Nutrition. So you can see that I just have a very little background in a kind of academic career. But with time, I switched my mind towards development generally, which includes academics anyway. So I grew up professionally up with Food Basket Foundation International. to become the head of research and program. And I left Full Basket Foundation International in year 2000. That's after 10 years, which to today, I just, if Full Basket would have been still in existence, I would have still been the longest serving staff of Full Basket Foundation, with total dedication and loyalty. And that's needed as well in development. I left because I was awarded a 2-year grant on the Fund for Leadership Development. We call it MacArthur Foundation Fund for Leadership Development, based in the US. And in this wise, I coordinated the MacArthur Foundation Fund for Leadership Development sponsored the Religious Communications Project for effective teaching and preaching of reproductive health. That's where I had, and with other experiences, my first brush with reproductive health. But before the end of the project, I was awarded a fellowship as an academic visitor by the Leadership for Environment and Development lead in the at the center, Oxford Center for Environment, Ethics and Society. We call it OKIS in Mansfield College in Oxford University, UK. That was in 2001. From there, I was employed as a senior program officer for the USAID Basics 2 project in Lagos, where I worked for about 3-4 years, before I left. And then after that, I worked with IIT Ibadan as a project manager. That was so brief, but as a project manager to visiting scientist on a USAID GINA project. Also, at the same time, I was serving as a health advisor with a standing offer contract with CEDA PSU, that's Canadian International Development Agency Program Support Unit. It's now called Global Affairs Canada, in Abuja. It's from there I continued, where in 2005 I joined Micronutrient Initiative. This is now my Nutrition International as a country coordinator, and later on they changed the title to director, coordinating the strategic development and delivery of micronutrient malnutrition program. Of that of Micronutrient Initiative, which is part of the national initiatives in partnership with the government, with non-government agencies and international agencies in Nigeria, as well as private sector at that time. So I started having my kind of journey with private sector interaction. But in addition to this, I was leading country staff and consultants, managing resources and overseeing the programs of MI Nigeria to ensure that they are aligned effectively with MIs and that of the government of Nigeria. I later joined, that was in 2012, Global Alliance for Improved Nutrition as their country program director, although started with program manager for food fortification, but later their country program director, and later, eventually, as the country director in 2015, where I coordinated their own program area, especially with large-scale food fortification that has to do with the industry. Maternal, infant, and young child nutrition initiative, agriculture and nutrition initiative, nutrition in emergency, business partnerships and alliances initiative, monitoring, learning, and research as part of national initiatives in partnership with others. Where I later left to join Aliko Dangote Foundation as the Director of Health and Nutrition, where, according to the moderator, she has just mentioned in brief what I've been doing. That's in addition to other health programs like controlling malaria, working with Federal Ministry of Health to eliminate malaria, National Malaria Elimination Program, working with in the area of HIV and AIDS. We are part of the business coalition we have for that. Then we have that of the most recent one now, is the Coalition Against COVID-19, COVID. Basically, we know by definition a development nutritionist helps to advance an understanding of how diet affects the health and well-being of people, and perhaps animals in some cases where you have animal nutrition across systems like food, like health and market. That's the basic thing, and that's what we should all know. If you're a nutritionist, you are a nutritionist. Whether you are in development, whether you are in public health, that basic thing is there for you. That's why I like to look at the nutritionist from that basic point of view. And then development nutritionists provide information on food and healthy eating and can work in a range of areas, including the public health, in the private sector, in humanitarian sector, and in education and in research. So we have nutritionists everywhere, which is unlike dietitians. Dietitians who primarily work with people who are ill and whose health is affected by conditions such as food allergy, malnutrition, or diabetes. But development nutritionists work mostly with people who are both sick and healthy. So you are not restricted as a nutritionist, but dietitians, you are restricted. So, and that's why as a dietitian, it's only with those who are ill, and those you can't talk to those who are healthy. So, but a nutritionist can actually provide information for those who are healthy. And they may be involved in educating individuals or groups, informing policy to shape nutritional advice. And I know, so a development nutritionist needs to be able to relate to people from a variety of different backgrounds or sectors, with the ability to speak to them in their respective vocabulary. So you, as a development nutritionist, we should be able to speak and meander through the whole system. More so, a development nutritionist needs to be equipped with proper understanding of the drivers of nutritional status at different levels and the types of sectoral responses that are required to, prevent or respond them. But however, I always use. I use it in recruitment purposes. I have what I call 10 core functions for public health or development nutrition practice. In terms of their function of key workforce actors, whether as a frontline officer or manager or specialist, it's basically the same area that we all work. The main broad area is research and analysis. So they function mostly to monitor, assess, and communicate population nutritional health needs and issues. They develop and communicate intelligence about determinants of nutrition problems, policy impacts, intervention effectiveness, and prioritization through research and evaluation. Then the second broad area, which is building capacity. They are involved with developing the various tiers of the nutrition workforce and its collaborators through education, through dissemination, disseminating intelligence, and ensuring organizational support. Then they are involved with building community capacity and social capital to engage in, identify, and build solutions to nutrition problems and issues. And then also they build organizational capacity and systems to be able to facilitate and coordinate effective nutrition action. Like I mentioned, food system. The food system requires the organizational capacity to be able to coordinate effective nutrition actions, like Ministry of Agri, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Women Affairs, Education, and the rest. Then the last broad area that I try to point for it is intervention management. That's another kind of what it entails. And evaluate interventions that address the determinants of priority nutrition issues and problems and promote equity. Then you enhance and sustain population community knowledge and awareness of healthful choices are informed choices. Then is as part of the functions, the development nutritionists advocate for food and nutrition related policy and government support to protect and promote health. Then they promote, they develop, they support healthy growth and development throughout all life stages, kind of life cycle approach. Then finally, they promote equitable access to safe and healthy food so that healthy choices are easy choices that people have to make to be able to be nutritionally sound. So, in a nutshell, this is how I try to coin it, and I use this to test people. If I have to take, from those three broad areas, I try to check individual candidates to know whether they have those capacities. There are so many skills that anybody can really lay hands on. But I try to categorize them into 7 major ones. Like I said again, every organization tends to choose whatever skills you are looking for. But these are main skills for for any practitioner to be successful in development sector. One, communication skills. Individuals should be able to speak fluently, express opinions, information, and key points of an argument clearly. You should be able to present information with skill and confidence. You should be able to respond quickly to the needs of an audience and to their reactions and feedback, especially when you are making a presentation and they are asking questions. Then the individual needs to be able to project credibility, to be able to structure information to meet the needs and understanding of the intended audience, or present information in a well-structured and logical way. That's for communication skill. The next one is that of teamwork and interpersonal skill. You are not alone. You are not an island. Multicultural communication is very, very important, like I mentioned. But you should be able to show respect for the views and contributions of other team members. You should be able to show empathy and listen and support, and care for others in your team. You should be able to consult others and share information and expertise with them. You should be able to build team spirit and reconcile conflict when they arise, and then adapt to the team and fit in well. That's for teamwork and the interpersonal skills that you need. Then the next one is that of leadership and the supervising skills. Very, very important. And I think that's what is really lacking in somebody who is just leaving the university, even with PhD or whatever, at whatever level. The ability to be able to provide others with a clear direction on the issue, to be able to motivate and empower others, and recruit staff of a higher caliber if you are at that level of recruitment. You will provide staff with development opportunities and coaching and set appropriate standards. And the fourth one is that of decision making and initiating action skills. This is very, very important to be able to provide others with a clear direction, just like motivate and empower others, and taking initiative, when the need arises for whatever you do, with minimum supervision. One should be able to take some of those issues. Then the problem solving and analytical skills, very, very important. Problem solving skills relate to your ability to identify issues, obstacles, and opportunities, and then develop and implement effective solutions. So, like in business sector, they always believe there is no problem, there's no solution. There's no way you come up with a solution without a problem. So it's very, very important. Analytical skills will help you to analyze numerical data and all other sources of information, to be able to break them into component parts, patterns, and relationships. They are very, very important. Probes for further information or greater understanding of a problem, makes rational judgment from the available information and analysis, demonstrates a kind of an understanding of how one issue may be a part of a much larger system, a kind of system thinking approach, rational approach for systems thinking. Then the sixth one is the learning and researching. We have never stopped learning. As long as we are alive, we still continue to learn. As I am now, it's just that I don't know, I will show you before I leave. You see two big books I have just purchased from Amazon, where I purchased them, are very big nutrition books. So they are very, very important. So rapidly learns new tasks, commits information to memory quickly, demonstrates an immediate understanding of a kind of newly presented information. You should be able to gather comprehensive information to support the decision making because they will look onto you. Then the last one that I categorize as planning and organizing, very, very important. You set clearly defined objectives, plans activities and projects well in advance, and takes account of possible changing circumstances. So you identify and organize resources that are needed to accomplish tasks. You manage time effectively, monitor performance against deadlines, and then milestones. So these are key critical skills that I personally look for whenever I'm looking for a nutrition specialist or anybody to work with me or in any organization where I'm called upon to participate in. There are really huge opportunities out there for emerging practitioners if we stay put and then do some of those things I've told you that we need to learn. You should know that the greatest opportunity is even that there's a global movement to invest in a package of essential nutrition interventions to reduce maternal and child undernutrition in low and middle income countries. And then it's gradually building momentum. Then another opportunity is like in COVID-19. Everybody is still wondering and nobody is actually finding out what that wondering means. That how are people surviving COVID-19? We are all still saying things that are not really ethically sound. That saying, it's because of their nutrition. What is it in their nutrition? So it means nutritionists have to answer some questions and the whole world is looking on to nutrition. So that's another great opportunity. But another issue is that capacity to act in nutrition is known to be minimal. If you look at those core competencies that I mentioned, core functions, and then the skills, you can finally find people who are fit into that kind of area of things or who have had such experience. But one can still gain experience. How? Work experience, that are needed because you need the opportunity to invest in your capacity development beyond the university or polytechnic education you received. Some of them will enhance your skills and competence acquisition through work experience. And how do we get work experience? Work experience enables you to test out a career and build skills and within a kind of competitive jobs market is essential to securing a job. That's what makes the difference between someone studying outside the country and in Nigeria. Outside the country, they have access to so many programs like internships, work placement, and volunteering. So they have access to all these opportunities. And they are great ways to impress any employers because you are not stable in one place. You are mobile in terms of your experience that you have gathered. So and now you have a lot of virtual work experience has become a hot topic because of the effects of COVID-19 pandemic. Either as students or as graduates try to find alternatives to boost their employability, you know. And like I said, the first one is internship. When you take advantage of internship opportunities, whether at home or abroad, as they provide transferable skills, useful connections, and invaluable industry insight for you, for such a person. Then an internship is a period of work experience offered by an organization lasting for a fixed period of time, anywhere between a week or 12 months. So they are typically undertaken by students and graduates looking to gain relevant skills. So employers use these placements to assess a student's or graduate's capability and often recruit employees from their interns rather than advertise their vacancies externally. A lady worked with me, as a copper, and then we've eventually taken her on board because she impressed everybody in the organization. Then the second aspect, like I mentioned, is work placement. A valuable and sometimes essential part of our degree is supposed to be work placement. Provide an opportunity for a student or graduate to apply your skills and knowledge in a real work setting. It's very, very important. It's not just the knowledge-based kind of education we receive. Anybody can read, but when you move towards in a working environment, work setting, then you learn more. And then, there are a kind of compulsory elements of some degree. So it's not enough to read books and that. And so this is one aspect of it where some can make it a kind of sandwich program or whatever it is, or during the holidays. But they just need to arrange in the academic environment needs to provide that opportunity for students. Then the third one is volunteering. A period of volunteering looks great on so many CVs. I have a case at hand, someone who worked with us just for 1 month in Gain when I was in Gain. It's now one of the best development experts we have in Nigeria today. He just worked voluntarily. We didn't pay her a dime, but yet she stayed there. She said she wanted to learn. We gave her some jobs to do, and she was doing them and being corrected. For merely mentioning that she worked with Gain for 1 month, it was considered as a kind of an edge over others. So volunteering is very, very is another aspect of opportunity for one. And then the last one is work shadowing. Some people call it job shadowing. By just watching instead of doing, you will gain an in-depth understanding of the workplace and a real sense of whether the job is right for you or not, or whatever they do. So many people do that. Many students and graduates, they often use work shadowing opportunities to get a taste for a particular job that they might be considering. Shadowing also allows you to experience how the same job can be different depending on its setting. For example, a nurse who works in an accident and emergency department in an hospital will have a very different role from one who works in a small community practice. So these are really issues. It's the same thing with whether in business is different from that of the normal development. And then we have a lot of online courses that I know many of us have access to, both in Nigeria, and one of them is Development Nutrition Academy that has just started. I bet it with you, it will go places. That's the opportunity. This is what some of us are looking forward to having in country. We have to provide a platform for people to learn beyond the knowledge-based education they receive in the university and beyond. Every organization has one result or the other to achieve. And then they set the target for you from the beginning. For you to achieve this result, get these hands. So your human resource, doesn't entail someone who will be learning. I think many organizations have not brought about that mentoring system in their various organizations. They don't have. But there's one thing that everybody can always do. That's why I use the word, if you look at what is required. And that's what we have been doing, learning and researching. We need to really understand the organization. You don't just walk up to an organization you don't know. I've seen people who came for interview with us, and then he was asked, "What do you know about the foundation?" He said he knew nothing. How can you come to work with an organization you don't know? So what are you bringing to table will follow if you really understand. If you know them, you will know the gaps. You study those things on your own. That one, you don't need any experience or anybody to tell you that. That you understand the organization as if you are writing a proposal. Your proposal will be, I'm not saying you need to write proposal for this, but you develop a case of how you can really, your internship will help the organization as well. Not you coming to take away from the organization alone. If the organization sees and notices what you are bringing in, then it's easier for them to say, come on board, or okay, you can do that. You just have to speak the language. What I mean by the language of the organization or the vocabulary is that, do you perceive any issues with the organization concerning the running of their program? What can you bring in? What skills do you have that you want to test? Because it's not enough that you don't have any. You still have some skills and you want to test them. You have to let them know ahead in terms of your justification. And then they will consider and look if there is anybody that will be in need of such person for that short period of time. And they say, yes, go ahead. So many organizations, they do that. Development is still the same with development. In fact, I would rather even say the public is the one that has borrowed development from the private sector. Private sector has been recognized since as a critical stakeholder and partner in economic development. They are provider of income. They are provider of jobs. They are provider of goods and services that enhance people's lives and help them escape poverty. So that's development that they're already doing. And like I said, they provide, even beside directly contributing economic growth, poverty reduction, and jobs, they also provide essential services such as infrastructure like transport, telecommunications, water, power. Then the area of health, education, finance that are important to growth and to improving people's lives. So they are doing that, and and again, if you look at when they said in goal 17 of the Sustainable Development Goals, which is to strengthen the means of implementation and revitalize the global partnership for sustainable development. Everybody knows there that we need to utilize the strengths of private sector. It's just that private sector, in how they implement their own, is different from that of the public sector. And then the strengths that they have include innovation, and that's where many people borrow the language, even from development generally. Innovation is with private sector. It's not, government doesn't believe in innovation. The best you can hear from them is reform, that they will reform, So technical knowledge is actually borrowed from, to implement project. Government provides services, but they don't design project. They can't do project. It's private sector that will be involved with project because they have the technical knowledge and the skills. They have the managerial efficiency that's required and the entrepreneurial spirit that's required to carry out those things. So, and this strength. And that's what people always talk about in PPP when they say you complement the role of public actors. The public actors are involved with social responsibility, social justice, public accountability, and local knowledge, to be able to create an enabling environment for delivery. So all these areas are areas that private sector will not go there. Private sector will not do social responsibility until lately when they now put their own. If you want to see them involved with social responsibility, they call it corporate social responsibility, in what they do, where they provide water for communities, where they have their workforce, or workforce health and nutrition, is in place, in most cases, and as per that. But the difference is that private sector basically, they are involved. The difference is that the motive for which they do development is different. The main motive for private sector is to earn profit. It's never rule out of that, that kind of approach. Whereas that of public sector is to provide services to public. That's just the motive. But their own, they want to do all those things while earning profit. So that's why in what they do, they bring in all those issues that I've mentioned earlier on, like innovation. How do you do it? How do you sell your product? Although you will, in terms of what you do in your product, if it's a fast-moving goods or consumer goods, then you make sure it's fortified. For instance, when you fortify it, you have already contributed. But the way you will do it is not that you fortify and just be giving it to everybody. You develop your social marketing around that in such a way that people will access it themselves. It's yours, that you bring the logistics and the supply chain, you build it. It's unlike government's own. And once they have done that one, that sustains itself. When people have tasted your good, they come for it their own. That's the way they do development as well. And then two, stakeholding. Most major stakeholding in the case of public sector is government. But in private sector, the stakeholders are mainly the individual who is the major holder in the shares of the company, or individuals who are major shareholders. They are the owner. So for you to do development with that, it's either they will opt out for corporate social responsibility, or some will use what we call philanthropic foundation. The foundation that provides kind of charity, but not just charity alone, but in terms of whatever they do, they use their products, they use their resources to be able to make the change. And in designing that, efficiency is the core word there. Why are we talking of efficiency? Efficiency in the sense that if you are planning a program, you see the overall planning and organizing, there are some aspect of it that will still bring profit to the business person. In development, you don't look at that. They don't give you $100 million, you go to the field and squander it, and you come back. Nothing. There's nothing that is really coming back. But if it were a private sector, the private sector will structure. For instance, if it calls for construction of bridges, construction of hospitals, boreholes, they have some materials that can be used from their own organization. So that's already a profit for them. You see, because in normal development, you just plan, the nearest thing you say is value for money. Yeah, it's okay, but that's not what the business sector. The business has to continue to be in business through more profiteering. Just like when someone said, but not necessarily extorting people, but at least they will benefit from it as well. That's the way they look at it, and mostly they have it already embedded in their organization. They have very good programs for their staff. In Aliko Dangote Foundation, we are pushing and we're about getting to all. We are having breast milk lactational room for lactation mothers. And then we have brought nutrition education into the overall program that they are having, that we have now included as part of. We have we have Dangote Academy as well that provide training for staff. So we have included it in the training for staff, and then which they have from time to time. And you must meet certain units every year. The same thing with health check. For your assessment of overall health, we have brought in nutrition indices into those health checks, and they are doing it. So it's really something that they do, but they do it with their workforce. But when you look at development generally, yeah, it's few organizations that will have everything like a package for their staff, the workforce. For business, development there takes charge of all those things. And finally, you see, development agencies, like I told you, private sector is to provide the enabling environment. When you now go to enabling environment and then understand the whole environment as well in terms of research. I think they need to look at every session. For every session, they should be able to link that to what they should be able to see themselves in the picture of every section that you are going to have with them, so that they can link that to what their contribution will be in terms of if they have to start doing something today. So they shouldn't wait, like we do in the university. You wait till your final year before you do your project. Whatever it is, take every aspect as bring something out that looks like a part of a project that you are going to build that will really strengthen you at the end of the day. So, and when you take that every day or every week or whatever, how long it is, then you bring this block. It becomes a building blocks for your kind of, at the end of the day, building block for your skills, for your competence, and for yourself that you are going to sell to a particular employer, one way or the other. So that's very, very important. And then again, you have to really show interest. Development at times it doesn't sound interesting, even when you are telling it to people. Because one, money is not everything. So initially, it may look somehow. When I was telling you where I started from, you said it earlier on, it's not as rosy as you all felt. There are so many ups and downs, along the line. Even as at then, I was still trying as much as possible to develop myself. Test every case of whatever is given to you. Test them out there. Not everything is for money. There are some people, they've benefited from me by asking them questions. I'm not saying you have it upstairs there and there, but you can always work on it and come up with something, because someone may ask you tomorrow. And that's the way I learn. I call it reading for the novice, learning for the novice. Because the novice will come tomorrow, who could be my wife, who could be any of my children, who could be a mentee like yourself, who could be a friend, and they ask me a question. So no question is stupid. It is your answer that may sound stupid at the end of the day. So thank you very much for this opportunity. And I want to wish every participant of this program the very best of it. A successful kind of deliberations and fruitful, end that we all have, so that all of us will join hands and come on board. There are a lot of opportunities for everyone there and then. Like I said earlier on, there's a global agenda. Now we have scaling up nutrition 3.0, which is just coming on, and we are finalizing the strategy. There is room for everyone to be part of it.
I would like to thank you very much for making out this time to join our maiden Meet the Development Practitioner session at Development Nutrition Academy. I would like to say thank you. Thank you very much. And I'm sure the participant will benefit a lot from this. Thank you.